Hi, I'm Darlene Washington, and this is Spiritually Intriguing, the Church Edition. Welcome again. We're continuing our conversation with Pastor Sieon Roberts of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor?
Hi, how are you?
I love it. Okay, so as I was saying before, I have so many issues with things going on in the world. And so now I'm going to talk about another one of my issues. And this particular issue is, well, it's not so much an issue as it's a statement from Congress. Congress has made a big step forward. So basically what happens is we have minority members of Congress to step out and stage their support for changing law enforcement and justice. How do you think they decided the worth of risking their jobs for speaking out against these laws? And that was a big risk, and it's like, I thought that was a powerful statement. But what do you think? How did they decide the risk?
Well, I think that they took the weight of leadership on their shoulders. I think that they figured that they were out in front as leaders and as minority leaders, kind of the face of the people in the U.S. I think that that's what they decided they had to do. And some people will disagree with it. Some people will agree with it. Certainly, my thought process is that it's a start. Of course, you got to get down in the grassroots of it and do some actual work in order to change what's happening. That would even have to make somebody do something like that.
Right.
But it's a start, and it's a statement to the people that we stand with you.
Yes. I was so impressed when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, even Congress is speaking out.
Yes.
The inside is coming out, and that's all. I was clapping my hands and shaking my head, and I was so proud of you, Congress people, for doing that. Now, what we want to do next is fix it, and I just, can we just fix it, because it's just really ridiculously unfair. And I don't know, somebody out there might think it's cute or something and then they juxtapose similar situations where, okay, well, this cop did, and mind you, I saw something on the internet where this guy, he was at some outside party or some type of event, I don't even know where it was. They were stinging him, and he was kind of naked, but he had on shorts or something, and they were stinging him with their stun guns. Okay. This guy punched a police officer in the face. He kicked another guy almost in the face or in the face. He shoved them. He was moving around like a loose cannon. Not once did they chokehold him, put their foot on his neck, or anything like that. In fact, he went running down the street. Did they shoot him in the back? And you put that against a situation with Eric Garner, for example. He didn't do all of that.
Yes.
And he's dead.
Yes. Well, we showed our support for that particular situation on Sunday morning. We all had on I Can't Breathe t-shirts here at the church, and we took pictures and posted them. I believe that particular situation is just an example of what needs to happen at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the fact that you can stop. I don't think you can stop somebody from racially profiling you, but I believe you can cut down the percentage.
Right.
So, like I was telling somebody the other day, the other side of that, which is the police officers who do these things that are so controversial, the choking, the shooting.
Yeah.
You can't really control what their mindset is, whether
Exactly.
it be racial, whether it be hatred.
Right.
But what we can do is we can teach our brothers how you to conduct yourself when a policeman pulls you over.
Right.
We have seen, if nothing else, I don't think any of these gentlemen should be dead, from Trayvon Martin to Mike Brown to Eric Garner. Right. Any of these brothers shouldn't be dead, but we have seen some things that have come out that would make us to believe that we do need to teach our African American young men how you deal with a police officer, even if they're not treating you right, or if they're a little, we've got to use this.
Right.
So while they should not be dead, absolutely, and these officers should have to pay for some of these injustices. At the same time, I want to teach my sons, because I have 3 boys who are, of course, all African American. If you're ever pulled over by the police and he's not doing you right, get his badge number.
Right.
Get
You
his,
don't have to say nothing. Just give his badge
don't
number.
have to say anything.
Yeah.
Get his badge number, get his squad car number,
Yep.
report him.
Right.
And if nobody does anything, continue to report him.
Right.
And at the very least, you're still alive.
Right. From that.
Yes, from
Yeah.
that.
And that's fair. And so, I understand. I had Charles Barkley. Did you see his comment?
I did. I did.
Oh my God, I was so disappointed, and I pretty much love Charles, but when he said those things, I was like, I don't know what, they have brainwashed the crap out of him. You know what I mean? That's my opinion, but I mean, he's still a great guy and all, but it's like, no, Charles, no, you have to see what they did, and then you can understand why people were outraged. You know, so I didn't appreciate that. And there was one other episode out there that was pretty disturbing that I saw, but I can't recall it at the moment. But, you know, the bottom line to all of this, it's so disturbing that Congress, I mean, they're coming inside out saying, give us justice. So I echo that. Can we please have justice and some real consideration for all life? And we saying Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. I wouldn't want what the police did to those black people done to anybody, because it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right. So let's have some justice for all lives, you know. So that's my take on that. And I thank you so much for your participation in that particular topic, and it was very insightful.
Thank you.
So another thing I have a problem with is okay. So I don't know if anyone likes rap music today as much as the next person, but it's you know how they say an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste for some individuals, and I don't have a disrespect or a hate for it to the degree that I don't think it's not art, because when you grow up in certain conditions, it is your expression. It's where you say, hey, this is how I live. I don't know how you live, but this is how I lived. And so it's my expression or their expression of what they've been through.
Absolutely. So
I can appreciate that. But we have our youth out here today, and they're learning different things. And, you know, we just have to just see what we think about this. So we have all these sexy female images of rappers out here, and what I want to know is, are these images hurting or helping our youth? In particular, we have Lil Kim and Nicki Minaj, and it's just an opinion, and it's not written in stone, but it's just, I want to see the temperature of what they think in church at this time. So what do you think?
I believe absolutely images affect our children. The images that are being portrayed a lot of the times, and I don't want to paint everybody or even them with a wide brush, but I will say that a lot of those images have hurt our children more than they've helped. The Apostle Paul talks to, I believe it's the church at Ephesus, the church of Corinth, about casting down the imaginations. And the imagination, the root word of imagination is images. And so the nation part talks about the birthing forth of images. What images do, we have to cast them down. Those images that the enemy seeks to sear into the minds and the hearts of our children. And hence, you know, you have young women trying to, you know, go out there and imitate what they see.
Right.
And what they see is not always the best thing. I don't want to say the names that you mentioned, Nicki Minaj, Lil Kim, are always portraying themselves negatively. But the main images that we see on television are ones that I believe most of us would say we don't want our daughters imitating. Right. Less clothes, the words that come out of their mouth as young women. And then, of course, you know, if you were to carry it over to the young men, you know, some of the images that they portray or fashion themselves after. So I would say overall, in the hip-hop world, those images hurt more than they help.
And I think it's a great amount of fair truth to that, because we've had a lot of the hip-hop leaders to come out and say, well, look, let's look at some of the stuff that we're saying and some of these images that we're promoting out here, because let's see what we're doing. But on the other hand, this is what I noticed when I was growing up. And I wanted, when this look at this. So I'm a little girl, and I'm wanting to see more black people on TV. Well, they have all these reasons why they can't show black stuff. Okay, well, while they're saying all this, there's Playboy, there's Benny Hill, there's all these other inappropriate shows, allegedly inappropriate shows, depending on who you are and how you're raised, and they're on TV. So I felt like that wasn't any real reason why a black show couldn't go on air, because it's supposed to be vulgar or whatever have you, when there was as much vulgarity as there could be presented by other races. So another thing, that kind of bothered me was back in the day, MTV, there was a time where they wouldn't even allow black artists on their shows. And all of a sudden, Michael Jackson broke the glass ceiling on that and got through. And so now MTV loves black artists, allegedly. So we have all that going on, and so you're like, yay! But I'm saying all that to say, to me, it depends on how you're raised. So you have some people who are raised in that strict environment or very spiritual environment, where they say, okay, ladies don't curse, fold your legs, don't wear hot pants, and et cetera, don't cut your hair this way, no red lipstick, whatever have you, wherever you are. And then you have those kids that are raised in households where everything goes, do what the crap you want. And so when you take those two types of children and put them in an atmosphere where you've got all these different images out there in the world, you've got negative images from whites, blacks, green, purple, people everywhere. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So the way I feel about it is, you have to really instill in your children certain values. And yes, I'm not going to tell you that I don't feel like some of those images interfere in what they value. Because to them, when you're growing up as a teenager and all, it's like, oh, what's cool? And they want to be what's cool. But you can't be what's cool without being what's you first. You got to be you first. And that's why they always say, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree and all that, which it can be true in some situations. In some situations, it's totally not true. But it's whatever you have. To me, it's how you're raised. And so, in short, those images of Lil' Kim and Nicki Minaj, some of those images I disagree with. And some of them I say, well, at least they're not killing nobody. At least they ain't selling drugs. At least they ain't prostituting. I have a different take on it. And whereas somebody else said, look at her, she all scales, and the big butt part and all of that. And that's always been an issue with the big butt thing. But growing up as a black woman, there was a time, and I'll wrap this up in a second, but I want your opinion on this too. Sure. But growing up as a black woman, you get out here and, in the past it used to be just like Nicki Minaj's song says, oh my God, look at her butt. It used to be exactly like that. So you're walking around and people are judging you, not only because you're black, because you got a big butt. And it was a very negative connotation. It made black women feel bad, that they have these huge butts, and they, and these, not all black women, but a lot of black women will be like, oh my God, I'm fat. I'm fat because my butt fat. Why can't my butt be littler like that? And it just wasn't happening. So it's a different appreciation. So it's a strange angle, but it's a different appreciation for something that was considered a very negative connotation in the past.
Yeah, and I think your take is a mature take. Unfortunately, my daughter, who's 18 years old and is in school, doesn't remember that time. She doesn't know anything about that time. It would take me, like you said before, educating her on that wise. And so hence, those who don't have that mature of a take on it take those images in the opposite direction. Right. And they begin to now put more emphasis on their looks. Right. And the attention is now drawn to their breast
and their butts.
Right. And then you've got the attention from the other gentleman. So whatever you have is no longer being covered and hidden for your husband. Right. It is now being flossed, or it's now being portrayed for the world to see, or for the, if you're not famous, it's being portrayed for everybody to see.
Right.
And now the attention that's being drawn to you is something that your father probably doesn't want it to be drawn to.
Right.
So I think that your take is a very mature take, but I think that would need to be brought out and taught,
Right.
and put into the minds and the hearts.
Right, they need to understand that. But just like I said, I mean, even to say, I'm just saying, you can look on television and you can see white women's butts out there, you can see their breasts out there, and they're not villainized for doing that. It's art when they do it. We do it, and it's like, the scandalousness of that. And I'm not having that, because I feel like, there's, again, the double standard, but also too, it's about how you're raised. It's like what your values are. So some men will look at a woman and say, oh, there you are displayed. Megan Good, for example, people might have problems with her dress, but she was like, okay, and she said, I'm still a woman of God, and I still love my husband, and just because you see my breast doesn't mean that I don't love God. And I think that's a fair take. What do you think?
I definitely agree with with the fact that one action doesn't make you not love God.
Exactly.
I think that everybody's got to do what they feel in their heart is right to do. I'm sure when she did that, she didn't think that it was going to get leaked to the public.
Yeah.
At the same time, we talked about in the former question, we talked about Charles Barkley, and I think that Charles Barkley a long time ago talked about, I'm not a role model.
Right.
Well, the truth of the matter
that's
is
when I fell in love with Charles Barkley, when he said that.
The truth of the matter is, though, that I think when you're in the public eye, you don't necessarily have the responsibility to be a role model, but you have to be responsible in your actions.
Right.
So I don't think Megan Good was necessarily irresponsible, but I do believe that, nor do I believe that an action makes you stop loving God.
Right.
At the same time, I think that we've got to, if we're going to call on the name of God, we're going to say, He's our Lord, He's our Savior, I think we have to represent Him well.
I understand that.
I think Megan Good just fits into a whole other category, because that was supposed to be between her and her husband.
I appreciate that. Okay, well, that does it for this show, for this particular episode of Spiritually Intriguing, the Church Edition. See you next time.